It's so wonderful to be here. It's so wonderful to be doing this webinar again today, how to improve our planetary karma with Moon. Very exciting. We have gone through this series. You and I were just discussing, it's been about 1.5 years that we've been working on this series together. And we went through every graha, we went through every planet, and we discussed the nature of the karma of the planet. Then we will discuss the different way the karma will act, dependent on sign, dependent on house, sometimes using nakshatra. And then we discuss how to improve that karma. We do ancient remedy, Ayurvedic remedy, lifestyle remedy, and we've gone through any planet. So if anyone out there is ever thinking to themselves, I have trouble with this planet, you can listen to one of these webinars where you will find what the energy is, how it will affect you uniquely, and then how to work with that energy. And so I hope this series has been helpful. I am going to try to take all of this planetary karma info and create a book about it, probably during my Mercury Mahadasha. So this has been the greatest research also for the book I'm going to be writing. And it's just been a really, really spiritual, educational, and mystical time and to do these series. And so I feel bittersweet in this moment. I feel sweet in that the moon and the devotion and the love, but I feel a little bit more sad, little bit more sad about the fact that this is the last planetary karma webinar, but not too sad knowing that we're going to do 27 webinar on the various nakshatra.
Yes, it is going to be fun. And sometimes we used to get some nakshatra questions in these webinars. And unfortunately, we could not answer it. So guys, for those questions, you can ask those questions in the 27 webinars coming like in near future. So yes, we are very excited. And let's continue with this, how to improve our planetary karma with moon. Over to you, Kṣaṇāti.
Before I get started, I just want to make sure that we have both started recording. Okay, fantastic. So I'm just going to share my screen now. So can you see my screen, Madhurji?
Yes.
Okay, great. Today, I and Saptarishi Astrology will present how to improve our planetary karma with Moon, Chandra, the luminous one, the illuminated one. And when I say how are we going to improve our planetary karma with Moon, we're going to unlock unconditional love within our hearts. This is such a heartfelt, cathartic webinar because of the heart energy of Moon. So we're going to unlock unconditional love. We are going to support our full potential in terms of sympathy, empathy, and compassion. So our evolution as souls with sympathy, empathy, and compassion, and also our evolution in our devotional nature and our ability to show support and care to our loved ones. So with all of this planetary karma with moon vibration, you can really feel the heart-centered vibration of it all. I'm Kṣaṇāti. My website is jyotishastrology.org, email, Facebook here, and I've actually started my own YouTube channel. I'll be doing some live readings, live videos, bringing on different guests and things like that, and it's just getting started, but I really appreciate everyone who will join me on my YouTube channel, Kṣaṇāti Jyotish on YouTube. And this is the direct link here if you'd like to become a subscriber to my YouTube channel. It is much appreciated. And this is all my contact information if you need any private support in your life. I do professional birth chart readings, divisional chart readings, astrocartography readings, past lifetime regression chart readings. So whatever, if you need any professional support in that area, please don't hesitate to reach out. Again, just encouraging all of you to join my YouTube, Kṣaṇāti Jyotish YouTube. Now, I broke our webinar today into 6 different sections or 6 different parts. Those that have been with us through the various other planetary karma videos know how this very analytical and scientific way of going about this analysis. And so first we will do the Chandra or the Soma karma, the karmic nature of the moon. Then we will do the current position of the moon. And the moon moves very quickly, so I'll also talk about the next couple positions of the moon. And then we're going to do Chandra karma as association with planetary dignity. So this is based on the sign and position of the moon, whether that is favorable and what are the significations associated there. And then we're going to go ancient, Ayurvedic, and contemporary remedy to improve our planetary karma with Chandra. And then we're going to do community examples. We're going to go with 3 community examples that were sent in to me before this webinar, and also Yogananda, Sri Yogananda ji as a celebrity example that was voted on by everyone. And his moon is so beautiful. And then we'll do some conclusionary remarks. Opening up this webinar, I want to honor the moon. The moon is the emblem of devotion. And when we can express the devotion to the moon, it unlocks bliss, it unlocks ecstasy, it unlocks euphoria, and it unlocks contentment in our hearts. So let's all take a moment here and we will honor the moon through the traditional moon chant. We have the Devanagari, Sanskrit, and English here. Read it in whichever way is most comfortable for you. Dari Sankatu Sharabam Kashiro Dharna Sambhavam Namami Sasenam Somam Sambhormakuta Bhushanam Om Dari Sankatu Sharabam Kashiro Dharna Sambhavam Namami Sasenam Somam Sambhormakuta Bhushanam Om Dari Sankatu Sharabam Kashiro Dharna Sambhavam Namami Sasinam Somam Sambhormakuta Bhushanam Om Dari Sankatu Sharabam Kashiro Dharna Sambhavam Namami Sasinam Somam Sambhormakuta Bhushanam Om Shram Shrim Shrom Saha Somaya Namaha 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 Om Aim Klim Somaya Namaha. Hari Om Om Namah Shivaya. Moon. Moon is called Chandra in Sanskrit, that which is luminous, that which is illuminated, that which possesses light, that which reflects light. The luminous Chandraya is that which contains and reflects light. So the light that you are seeing on the moon is actually not light which the moon emanates, but is the light which is the reflection of the sun. So it's the reflective light when you are looking at the moon. So it has this reflective light, but that light also gives energy to the moon, and therefore the moon also possesses light. So this aspect of Chandraya, it's the possession of light, but it's also the reflection of light. And so when we're looking in the metaphysical sense, light is called Jyoti, that which contains light. And light is divine. Light is God. Light is the Atman. Light is the Paramatman. So when we are looking at what light is in the most spiritual sense, it is the essence of the divine. It is the essence of divinity. Therefore, the moon reflects the divine light. So the moon is a reflection of this divine light. So when you get into the very specific karma, it is an embodiment and a reflection of divine light. That is the moon, is the representation of divine light. Deep within this concept of illumination is the ability to reflect light. And therefore, moon karma relates to the evolution in our ability to reflect divine light. And what does that mean for us? It means the ability to be a vessel of a light, to be a vessel of the divine, to be a vessel of spiritual wisdom. This is to be a conductor of the light. For example, when we have spiritual wisdom, it's not like we own that wisdom. That wisdom is truth, which comes from God. We are just reflecting that light. We are just reflecting that truth. We are just reflecting that wisdom. So this is the energy of moon, which reflects the light, which reflects the divine, which reflects the divine wisdom. Embedded within the moon mythology and this concept of reflection is the karmic lesson and ability to reflect before we act. If you go back to the ancient mythology, the moon slept with Tara, the wife of Jupiter. And this is because the moon acts on its emotion. The moon acts on its desire. And this is an unevolved moon. An unevolved moon acts purely on its emotion. An unevolved moon acts purely on its desire, which means there's no ability to reflect before action. Because if the moon was able to properly reflect before it took the lustful action, then it would have saw that the outcome of that would have hurt Jupiter. Nonetheless, the moon was not able to reflect in that sense. So the evolutionary energy of the moon is the ability to reflect before we act, is the ability to think before we act. Those people with unevolved moons, with dark moons, with challenging moon karma have a really hard time thinking and reflecting before they act. But people with very evolved moons, people with very mature moons are very reflective and very thoughtful, and they think very heavily about the outcome before they were to take any action, because they know that if they do an action without reflection, it could cause some type of pain. It could cause some type of suffering. So, this deeply evolved moon karma shows that before any action is taken, we ensure that the karmic consequence or the karmic outcome of those actions are positive. Moon is also the emblem of devotion and is a representation of devotion. Moon karma shows which area and aim of life we are most devoted to, and the power and strengths of our devotion, as well as the weaknesses or challenges that are associated with our devotion. For example, someone who has moon in the 7th house is very devoted to their partner, especially if it's in good dignity. If someone has moon in the 4th house, they are very devoted to their family. If someone has moon in the 2nd house, they're very devoted to their job. If someone has moon in the 10th house, they're very devoted to their dharma, to their job, to their work. So it does show where you carry that devotion. And based on the dignity, you can see what are the strengths of that devotional aspect and what are the challenges of that devotional aspect. we'll talk more about this, but devotion isn't always a good thing. It depends what direction we put devotion. Now, moon karma, when it's in very high dignity and position, a more evolved moon shows great devotional nature, someone who is very devotional in their nature and has strong power of devotion, which means whatever they give devotional energy to ends up being extremely fruitful and successful. This is very common when moon is in Rohini Nakshatra. And there's also an elevation in terms of what the native is devoted to. So when someone has a very evolved moon, they're only devoted to sattvic thing. Moon karma in challenging dignity and position suggests a stifled power of devotion, which means they might not have that much enthusiasm. They might not have that much passion. They might not have that much power of devotion, and they can easily be distracted or tempted to unelevated emotional devotional aspects. So this means that those with challenging and moon karma, they can be devoted to unhealthy ways of thinking. They can be devoted towards being a victim depression. They can be devoted towards unhealthy relationship. They could be devoted towards a drug or alcohol addiction. They could be devoted to money. So there is this aspect too where, okay, not always is what we're devoted to good, and the moon in its challenging position can show that we're devoted towards lust, that we're devoted towards desire. Now, when moon bala is strong, it always indicates a profound devotional nature and power of the individual. So as long as the moon is strong in the chart, it suggests that the person will have a lot of power of devotion, which means whatever they give their time and energy to will bear fruit, will bear outcome, will bear results. But the lower, malefic, dark side of the moon, as mentioned, can offer desire and devotion towards lust, indulgence, addiction, and unhealthy patterns or ways of thinking. Now, when moon bala is strong, and it's a very benefic moon, which means good position, good dignity, and there's no negative aspects, it encourages good power of devotion, and what the native is devoted to is going to be sattvic, is going to be spiritual. This includes family, spirituality, service, the welfare of humanity, the welfare of animals, and the welfare of the planet. This is the higher side of the devotion. Moon karma is also called Somaya in Sanskrit, which means blissful. The divine name of Soma reflects the nectar of bliss which pours from the moon. One of the most divine experiences I have was when I was in a deep meditation and I started doing the moon chant, and it was on a full moon, and I saw the moon was close, and as I doing the chant, it kept feel like the moon was coming closer. It kept feel like the moon was getting closer. And as I really started to connect with the moon, I could feel the drops of the soma falling off of the moon onto me. And when those drops of soma would pour onto me, I would experience ecstasy. I would experience bliss. I would experience total euphoria, pleasure through all of my senses. And this is connected to the divine bliss, which literally pours out from the moon, the somaya, the soma. It is said that the blissful nectar of ecstasy, called soma, drips off of the moon. And these drippings of soma, which come off of the moon, are strongest during a full moon transit. So the soma vibration is very strong during a full moon. And when these drips are falling down, it provides bliss, peace, ecstasy, and harmony to all. Usually people who have difficulties around the full moon, they have a hard time digesting or integrating. They have a hard time digesting or integrating the soma. Therefore, they can't really process it well. But in general, the full moon nectar, it provides bliss. This soma karma comes out of the moon. To those who can properly assimilate this nectar, are given intelligence during this period, are given health during this period, are given overall well-being and sensory bliss as ecstasy. The soma has the power to heal any disease. The soma has the power to remove any sadness. The soma has the power to make someone who is tamasic immediately sattvic. So the soma has this transformative blissful vibration, and the moon also has that influence. It is the karma of the moon that if we soma, that if we properly reflect, meditate, and honor the moon. So that is what I mean by able to digest the soma. If you do not honor the moon properly, then you are not allowed to digest its nectar. The only way that you are allowed to digest the divine nectar of the moon is if you honor and appreciate that, and therefore honor the moon. So to assimilate the soma, we need to be very reflective. We need to think before we act. We need to meditate, and we need to honor the moon in every way that we can. And if we do this, we get the juice of the soma. We get the nectar of the soma if we honor the moon properly. And therefore, we can experience ecstasy, bliss, euphoria, total rejuvenation from exhausting, wasting, or toxicity. It can heal any disease. It can remove any sadness. It can remove any depression. All we have to do is honor the moon properly to help activate this karma. That's why I tell the story of how I did that, because until I was noticing the soma and then praying directly to it, I didn't and then after I started doing it, that's when I felt the bliss. So it's when you have this awareness and then you create that devotional relationship, it really starts to digest the soma. Moon represents the divine mother, or feminine aspect of the divine. It is the moon karma which helps us connect with and express our devotion to the divine mother. So it has this relationship with our relationship with the feminine aspect of God. Our moon karma is our relationship with the divine mother. Strong moon position and dignity, such as 9th house in Cancer, for example, can suggest an affinity towards a female guru and the female aspects of the divine. So I have moon in the 9th house in Libra. So this suggests why my guru is Amma, female guru. So these are some of the suggestions here that it does kind of emphasize more feminine aspect of the divine versus masculine aspect of the divine if the moon is strong enough. Now, moon karma also represents the natives' karma with their mother. This is the person who raised them. Their biological mother, but if you're adopted, your adopted mother. It's whoever raised you. And so good moon dignity and position suggests a deep karmic connection with the native's mother. So strong moon vibration, positive moon vibration can show good relationship, good connection with the mother, but similarly, difficult moon vibrations can show difficult relationship with the mother. But if the moon vibration is functionally benefic, it can suggest an enjoyable relationship with the mother, and the mother should carry some nurturing energy towards you. It is moon karma which helps, what seeks us to exchange support, care, and love with the woman which helped raised us. It is the moon karma which helps us exchange this support, care, and love. So the moon karma is our ability for us to be close with our mother. It's the ability for us to show support and care and love to our mother, but it also is the opposite of that, which means it's also the mother's ability to show you love. It's the mother's ability to show you support. It's the mother's ability to show you care. Sometimes those people with challenged moons don't get the type of love that is, they don't get unconditional love from their mother if the moon is very challenged. Of course, a mother loves all mothers love their children unconditionally, but they will struggle with the conditions. The moon is also an embodiment of unconditional love. It's not an embodiment of romantic love like Venus is. It's an embodiment of unconditional love. We call this divine love. And therefore, moon karma supports the gifts of sympathy, empathy, and compassion. So whenever there's moon karma, it's our evolution with sympathy, empathy, and compassion. And moon rules the connection between the heart and the mind. And that could be the longest distance in the world, I often say. The longest road to travel is from the heart to the mind. This is why the manas can be such a crazy place. And so because the moon rules this connection, it is part of the moon karma evolution to evolve with unconditional love, to evolve with sympathy, empathy, and compassion. So the moon karma evolution is our growth in unconditional love. And unconditional love grows through our potential or capacity for sympathy, empathy, and compassion. So that's a really important moon aspect. Moon karma also supports the evolution of the native's empathic intuition. I always say in Jyotish that there are many different types of intuition. And empathic intuition is a very specific form of intuition, which is connected to the heart, mind, and emotions. So it's a very specific type of intuition, which is associated with the moon. And it kind of suggests that for better or for worse, people with strong moon karma, they're going to feel what other people feel. Because of the way they have this sympathy, empathy, and compassion, they can't help but to feel what other people feel. So dependent on position and dignity and whether the moon is benefic or malefic, it suggests the full spectrum of the empathic abilities and gifts. People who have very difficult moons, people who have very afflicted moons, have a challenging empathic gift, which means they always pick up on other people's sadness. They always pick up on other people's negativity. They always pick up on other people's bad feeling and emotion. And when the moon is very dark, Rahu or some other aspect, it can show that it is very hard to let that negative influence that other people have on you go. So if someone else is sad, you go and spend 15 minutes with them, and still for 4 hours later after that, you feel sad because it is hard to shake those energies off. Now, moon is also our ability to show nurturing, support, and care to our family. It's directly in the ancient text suggests this is one of the primary karmas of the moon, is to show nurturing, care, and support to your family. So moon karma directly influences our general relationship with our family, which means how we get along with all our family members. And the moon karma also suggests how we relate to the concept of family, what we think a family is, and what we want our family structure or our family picture to be. Now, moon karma has direct influence on the exchange of support, care, and love between the native and his family picture as a whole, especially the mother. So it's an exchange of support, care, and love with the family. So people with certain challenging moons, they can give support, care, and love to their family, but their family doesn't give it back to them. They might show supportive and caring nature to someone else, and other people might take advantage of that. Moon karma also influences the amount of love, care, and support that the native receives from his family in general and mother. So challenged moons, you might not get the love and support you need from your family. Benefic moons, it should be an indication that you get a lot of support from your family. Moon is also our ability to show nurturing, support, and care to all that we love. Not everyone that we love is biological blood. Sometimes we have spiritual brothers, we have spiritual sisters, we have best friends, we have colleagues that we deeply respect and have admiration for. And we still have these strong vibrations and feelings towards these people. And so the moon is also our ability to show support, care, and love to those people. So support, care, and love for all of your friends. Support, care, and love for all of your family. Support, care, and love. It's that nurturing energy which goes to anyone that you truly have love for. And so moon karma activates our unconditional love evolution. And therefore, moon is also the native's ability to show support, care, and nurturing energy to anyone they have love for, okay? this can include close friends, as mentioned, different categories, mentors, students, colleagues, even like-minded individuals, just people who think like you, and those on a similar spiritual path. Moon karma also strongly activates our relationship with the concept of home. Moon is the representation of the homeland and home. We're going to talk about this. And therefore, it includes the physical home we live in, the current city that we're living in, as well as the homeland, the country and city and state which we were born in. So this is all relates to moon karma. Moon karma encourages our evolution to the concept of home, which includes what city, state, and country we were born in, and also what city, state, and country we're currently living in. So moon karma, it shows both of these relationships, our love of our country of birth and the love of our country we currently live in. Now, dependent on moon position, dignity, and malefic benefic function, there will be a blissful relationship to the homeland and current city, or a challenging relationship to the home or current city. So those people with heavily afflicted moons, they can be separated from their homeland or not really like the city, country they were born into. Or they might not really like the city that they're currently living in, or that they might have a challenging relationship with some of the people either in their homeland or in the current city. So, but if the moon is very strong, these people love their homeland. They are so patriotic. Yogananda, we're going to talk about it later. He had moon in Lagna, so he was very devotion to his homeland. And there is this strong vibration of an affinity towards one's homeland or patriotism. You know, I have moon in the 9th house, so I love Philadelphia. I love my city that I was born in. So very similarly, those with strong moon karma, they have a specific affinity for their city, state, and country that they live in and that they are born in. Even when I go to New Mexico, I still think of it as my home and I make the most of it. I try to make the best of it. Now, moon karma, in addition to the home, also encourages our full relationship and evolution of our relationship with our physical shelter, land, and property. So this is the physical home, the physical structure, and the land and property that surrounds that physical structure. Dependent on moon position, dignity, benefic, malefic, there will either be a blissful, a soma relationship to the physical homeland and property, but if the moon is very afflicted, there can be a challenging relationship to the homeland and property. Often, sometimes people with heavily afflicted moons, they have hard time buying home. More likely for them to rent home and be changing homes throughout their life. So that was just some of the different vibrations of moon karma. And we talked about 7 or 8 different aspects there at least. And the moon just has this very heart-centered vibration, this devotional vibration. You know, the house of the home is the house of the heart. It's the house of the mother. So all of these things are so deeply interconnected. I chose this time for moon webinar because currently the moon is in the sign of Cancer. I know this says January 15th. It's supposed to say June 15th. So this was yesterday that the moon went into Cancer, and it will transition tomorrow into Leo. Okay, so right now you have the moon in its natural sign of Cancer, and tomorrow it will transfer to the sun-ruled sign of Leo. Then Mercury will enter Virgo on June 20th. So from, it looks like to be about from Sunday night until Wednesday, you'll have the morning, you'll have the moon in Leo. Then it will shift into Virgo on June 20th. Then it will shift into Libra on June 22nd. And on June 24th, the moon will shift into Scorpio, which is its sign of debilitation. So even though right now in our current webinar, the moon is in its natural sign, very high dignity of Cancer. But in less than 2 weeks from now, the moon will be in its debilitation sign, which shows you the main point of this transit discussion is just to show you how quickly the moon changes. And so when you're looking at moon energies for new moon, that carries significance. For full moon, that carries significance. But there's such a transition in moon energies at all times. So as soon as you hear and try to integrate what you learn about given moon energy, well, then you have to start preparing for the next one. So the moon keeps us constantly changing and evolving. Now we're going to look at moon very specific to dignity and position. So first we look at the moon exaltation, mula trikona, and natural sign. Moon is exalted in the Venus ruled sign of Taurus in 0 to 3rd degrees, the strongest degree being 3. Moon within Venus, Taurus, the rest of the degrees, 4 to 30, is mula trikona, partial exaltation of the moon. And then moon within its natural sign, its current position, Cancer, in any degree, is considered the natural sign of the moon. When we're looking at moon exaltation in Taurus, it's unique because Taurus is ruled by Shukra. And Shukra and moon, while it's not the most malefic relationship, the moon doesn't really have any enemies. That's the thing about the moon. The moon doesn't really have any enemies, but other planets don't like the moon. So the moon doesn't have a problem with Venus. But Venus has a problem with the moon, and the Venus considers the moon enemy. So it's very unique, again, that the moon is exalted here in an enemy sign. The moon doesn't have any enemies, but because Venus finds moon to be enemy, it's this exaltation unique. When Chandra is in Taurus, it creates great emotional depth. It makes someone who is very emotionally deep. It creates a very strong devotional nature, a creativity, and an ability to reflect and think before taking actions. These people have a great propensity to heavily reflect before any actions are taken. Moon in Taurus carries great devotional energy, growth, and enthusiasm in whichever area of life it influences. So wherever someone has this exalted moon, they will be very devoted. They will grow and they will be enthusiastic. So you have exalted moon in the 10th house. It will give great energy towards your career. It will allow you to continue to grow in your career and to reach high positions within your career. And it will have you always enthusiastic for that work. Moon in Taurus has a great intuitive potential, specifically the empathic intuition, the emotional intuition we talked about earlier. Now, just a little taste of our Nakshatra series. For the moon exaltation, natural sign, and debilitation, I decided to throw in some Nakshatras. And so when the moon is in Kritika Nakshatra, sun rule Nakshatra, it supports great power, ambition, and creativity. The moon in Rohini, its own Nakshatra, supports growth, position, and fulfillment of dreams, desire, and passions. And moon in Mrigashira Nakshatra, very spiritual Nakshatra, supports spirituality, wisdom, and elevation towards moksha. These people can be very spiritually and religiously inclined. Now, the moon in its natural sign of Cancer is extremely powerful for moon. In many ways, it's even more powerful than Taurus. Taurus is a very refined moon energy, but Cancer moon can even be more powerful in overall strength. And so it does support the full expression of the moon's natural energies. Therefore, the Chandra in Cancer supports unconditional love. It supports sympathy. It supports empathy. It supports compassion. It encourages a very caring, nurturing, and supportive nature. The moon in Cancer, very loving, sympathetic, empathetic, caring, and supportive individual. Just have a question here. Oh, namaste, Dineshji. Welcome. Welcome. Thank you for joining us, brother. Chandra in Cancer supports a very empathic and intuitive gift. Although this empathic or intuitive gift, when Chandra is in Cancer, can be difficult to handle or overbearing. Because like how we talked about earlier, for better or for worse, sometimes the moon feels what other people feel. And when the moon is in Cancer, it's very strong that you pick up on other people's positive vibrations, but also that you will pick up on other people's negative vibrations, and they might affect you in a way which is undesirable. Moon in Purnarvasu Nakshatra supports great spiritual wisdom, intelligence, and consistent success. Lots of repeating success. Very successful alignment. Chandra in Pusha supports someone who is very peaceful, very quiet, very peace-loving. They might be a pacifist, spiritual nature to the individual. But Saturn influences Pusha Nakshatra. So there can be some emotional distress and adversity, forms of PTSD, stress disorder. And Chandra in Ashlesha Nakshatra supports intelligence, expression, and communication. But due to Mercury's influence, can create an overstimulation of mental energies and can cause some emotional ungroundedness. Now we'll discuss moon debilitation. When we're looking at moon debilitation, it's unique. You know, the moon doesn't have any enemies. So even though the moon and Mars definitely don't get along, the moon and Mars do not really have any enemies. And so, I mean, the moon does not really have any enemies. So it's not like the moon considers Mars its enemy. But because they have such a difficult karmic way of interacting, this is considered an inauspicious relationship between moon and Mars. Moon in Scorpio creates intense curiosity. These people have the syndrome known as Curious George or Curious Georgette. And this is an intuition and an investigative nature. These people are detectives. These people are researchers. And it supports a great transformative personality, a great transformative energy. Challenging vibrations of moon in Scorpio include a dark intuition. This could cause a pessimistic or cynical nature. They would say, oh, I'm just being real, but it's a little pessimistic way of looking at things. And it can cause extreme emotional volatility and can support a vulnerability to emotional outbursts and temper tantrums. So these people are very emotional, hypersensitive sometimes. The moon in Vishaka Nakshatra supports creativity. By the way, I have moon in Vishaka Nakshatra. Luckily, it's on the Libra side, the Venus side, and not the Mars side. Now, moon in Vishaka Nakshatra supports creativity, beauty, and an ability to fulfill one's desires. So it makes it someone who, when they desire something emotionally, they're usually able to get what they want and reach their goals. But it can cause a lustful nature. So these people might have problems with infidelity. Moon in Anuradha Nakshatra supports powerful, emotional, deep karmic relationships, but can show emotional immaturity, things like jealousy. And the moon in Jyeshta Nakshatra supports growth, power, and great profits and gains in your life. But usually those with the moon in Jyeshta Nakshatra are not very social and prefer a more quiet, isolated life. They definitely prefer to work alone. Now we'll just go through moon and some of the other general planetary dignities. Now, there's really no, even though there's enemy sign and all these things, the moon doesn't have any enemy. So it's not like the moon does horrible anywhere. The moon isn't even that bad in Scorpio. Yeah, it will act debilitated at times because of the emotional volatility of the individual, but there's still many gifts that are going to come with that. The moon, because it doesn't have enemies, planetary dignity is not quite the same. Now, moon has auspicious dignity and karma in the sun-ruled sign of Leo. This is a very favorable conjunction for the moon. We'll see later that this is Yogananda Ji's Lagna, Moon Leo Lagna. And this can be attributed to an auspicious relationship between the sun and the moon, the two celestial bodies which work very well together as long as they're not within 10 degrees of each other. Now, the moon and the royal queen and the royal king have a favorable and very friendly relationship. I say that often the king can represent the vision of truth, and the moon, which is the queen, offers the emotional support, the reflection of the message, the mirror, the care, the devotion, and the nurturing to that vision, which allows that vision to grow and manifest. So it is the king or the sun which might have the vision, but it is the moon which nurtures that vision so that it may manifest. When the moon aligns to Leo, it creates a powerful vibration of charisma and leadership, like Yogananda Ji. These people are fun to look at, they're fun to watch them talk, and they're very, very, very much draw your attention. And with the moon, when they talk, it make you want to cry. It make you want to cry with the moon in Leo. These people touch your heart. The moon in Leo supports love of the homeland, patriot. It supports a devotional nature, makes someone emotionally deep, and who can reach the hearts of many. The challenging side of moon in Leo is that the moon is feminine and Leo masculine. So this can be a difficult combination of both male and feminine energies interacting with each other, which if you're spiritual, you can balance that out. But if you're not spiritual, that can be challenging. A woman with this conjunction might have some more masculine energy than and masculine quality. And a man with this energy might have feminine energy and feminine quality. As mentioned, Yogananda Ji, a man, but with many feminine qualities and very beautiful and long flowing hair like woman. Moon has auspicious / mixed karma in the Jupiter-ruled signs of Sagittarius and Pisces. I like when the moon is in Jupiter's sign. This can sometimes be a mixed relationship because of the history of Moon and Jupiter. If you go back to the mythology, it will explain this. Moon, the royal queen, and the guru, Jupiter, have a mixed and dramatic relationship from the mythology. The moon slept with Jupiter's wife because of lust, and then Jupiter forgave the moon later because the Jupiter is very spiritual and forgiving. But ultimately, there is this history of the moon and Jupiter that although the moon does favorable in Jupiter sign, that there's always side effect because of that history. When the moon aligns to Sagittarius, it creates a powerful vibration of moral and ethical devotion. These people are very moral and ethical and are very devoted to moral and ethical, and they want the world to be a moral and ethical place. These individuals are very caring, nurturing, supportive, and devoted to the righteous cause. In some aspects, these individuals, we call them spiritual warriors who fight for the rights and needs of others. The challenge of this combination is that sometimes when Moon is in Sagittarius, the native can be self-righteous, stubborn, and combative. In other words, they know what is right, they know what is moral and ethical, and there's no conversation. They are right and you are wrong. Now, when Moon aligns to Pisces, it supports profound spiritual, intuitive, and creative vibrations. These individuals are intuitive empaths. So when the Moon is in Pisces, it combines two forms of intuition. Moon is empathic intuition. Pisces is psychic or spiritual intuition. So these people don't just have empathic intuition, but also psychic intuition, which is from the higher realms, from the space, from the Akash, from the Devas. This is from the higher self sending down this wisdom. So these individuals are intuitive empaths who pick up on the other frequencies, vibrations of people, places, and things very easily. As soon as they walk into the room, they pick up of the vibration of the room and all of the people in it. This alignment causes a certain affinity or enthusiasm towards the esoteric, towards the spiritual, towards the mystical. So these people are very mystical and spiritual as well. The challenging side of Moon in Pisces, it can make someone very ungrounded and severely out of touch with you could say the regular world or the material world or the day-to-day mundane world. They can be so off in their own world, they can kind of be living in their own bubble. And it can also cause someone who is like ADD, lack of concentration / easily distracted. And also Moon in Pisces can be impulsive. They can struggle with things like addiction. The moon has mixed karma in the Mercury-ruled signs of Gemini and Virgo. This is because the moon and Mercury actually have a friendly relationship, but because they both influence mind, moon is left side of brain, Mercury right side of brain, this type of over-influence on the mind definitely has some side effects. Now, moon, the royal queen, and the messenger Mercury have sometimes a mixed and confusing relationship. This is due to the intellectual energies of Mercury combined with the emotional energies of the moon. Sometimes logic and emotion are hard to reconcile. Both moon and Mercury influence the mind, but operate on different sides of the brain. In the most ideal conjunction of these energies, we have a synergy in which moon and Mercury are working together, which means the left side of the brain and the right side of brain are working together. There's an empathic and there's a logical. You don't do something logical without the intuition agreeing, and you don't do something with the intuitive without the logic agreeing. This is the ultimate evolution. Now, when the moon aligns to Gemini, it supports strong intellectual capacity, very intelligent, and communication abilities. This conjunction supports creativity, a perpetual student, someone who always loves to learn, and a native who has an incredible amount of diversity in their life in terms of hobbies, talents, and interests. The challenging side of this alignment includes overthinking, mental / logical conflicts, and has the potential, again, to be easily distracted by one's own desires. Madhuraji, remind me what sign your moon is in?
It is in Cancer.
It is in Cancer. Beautiful. We talked about that. Very natural,
Yes.
very natural sign.
Yes.
That's wonderful. So you have the strong sympathy, empathy, and compassion nature. What house is that?
In 10th house.
Oh, wow. Very good for your career. Very good for your career. Wow.
Yeah.
You'd be a good counselor.
Yeah, I think so.
You'd be a good counselor, advisor, life coach, all of these as things. Very good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, when the moon aligns to Virgo, it supports a strong service orientation to the individual because moon is devotion, Virgo's service. And so there's this energy of improvement through service. The native with this conjunction, again, very intelligent and are constantly trying to use that intelligence to improve things, to make things better. So they are constantly trying to do this, do that, make this better, make that better. These natives are able to put incredible amounts of devotional energy towards intellectual and academic pursuits and can often become very, very knowledgeable about one area. They can become the most knowledgeable in the world. The dark side of this vibration is that they have very high expectations because they are constantly seeing flaws and trying to make things better, and so they expect the world to catch up with them. And this can cause perfectionism and cynical or pessimistic inclination because what you're able to see that the way things can be and they're not that way is disappointing. And this vibration of moon in Virgo can be a very overstimulated mental intellectual energies. It can make it hard for them to turn their mind off. This is my alignment in moon that we're going to discuss now. So moon has mixed karma in the Venus ruled sign of Libra. We talked about the moon doesn't have enemy of Venus, but the Venus doesn't care for the moon in the same way. Moon, which is the royal queen, and the refined princess / advisor Venus has a mixed but an evolutionary relationship. So this moon in Libra, I believe it's very evolving. Going back to the ancient mythology, Chandra sought counsel and advice from Venus concerning the affair, and Venus informed the moon of the unrefined and unsophisticated actions which were taken. So when the moon aligns to Libra, it supports a very devotional energy towards one romantic partner. It creates a very joyous, harmonious, and enjoyable emotional nature. Moon and Libra are creative, and they enjoy art, music, and entertainment in all of its forms. They also bring great amounts of pleasure and happiness to the lives of others. And as they evolve throughout their life, become more refined, become more sophisticated. The real challenge of this alignment is they can be pleasure-seeking, so they can really like pleasure-seeking. They like to pleasure their senses, and they are vulnerable to overindulgence and addiction as well. These natives have to evolve to have control and discipline over their desires and yearnings. This is all resonates with me. I've always loved art, music, entertainment. I have a very joyous, harmonious disposition. And as I become older, I have become more refined or sophisticated. I don't really drink any alcohol. I only eat organic food. But when I was younger, I drink beer and I eat meat and I eat McDonald's. So, which I haven't done for at least 10 years, but it's just showing that I've become more refined and sophisticated throughout my life. And I struggle with enjoying too much pleasure. Like, I love getting massage. I love getting acupuncture. I love getting foot reflexology. And I overindulgence with food sometimes. Sometimes I have difficulty with eating too much food, or when I feel stressed or anxious, eat food to make me feel comfortable. So all of the strengths and weaknesses here definitely resonate with me. Moon has mixed / inauspicious karma with the Saturn-ruled signs of Capricorn and Aquarius. This is because, again, Moon doesn't have problem with Saturn. Saturn doesn't do the best with the Moon. Moon, the royal queen, and the servant Saturn have a mixed karma because the queen is appreciative of the servant's work. The queen is happy that the servant is doing the job, and the servant humbly serves the queen. But these two caste or classes of these two graha are very, very different. One, royal, other, servant. So this is part of the challenge of this vibration. Positively, this vibration, it can support a devotion to an old-fashioned way of doing things and mindset. Therefore, people with Saturn Moon, they maintain traditions, rituals, and histories of the past. For example, my brother, he is Saturn Moon Lugna in Aquarius, and he is Hasidic, Orthodox Jewish. So he practices the most conservative, ancient, Orthodox form of Judaism. So those people with Saturn Moon, they like the old-fashioned way of doing things. On the challenging side, it causes dogmatism, a hesitancy to grow / change, and an impatience / judgment of others. So the difficult side of that is that these people are dogmatic. They believe that they're right and other people are wrong, that their religion is right and other religions are wrong. And it can also show hesitancy to change or evolve. Because they like the old-fashioned way of doing things, they don't want to think about the new way of or new possibilities of how to do them. And an impatience or judgment of others. It can show that because they believe so strongly about what they believe, that they think that the way that things are done now is a disgrace. So they can be critical of others who are more contemporary people. When Moon aligns to Capricorn, on the positive side, it can show a native that is steadfast, determined, and persevering. admirable qualities of care for the needy, a service in orientation, and being emotionally stable, secure, and grounded are seen here. So there's lots of positive energy when moon is in Capricorn. Like I said, just because Saturn moon conjunction is difficult, the moon does well in almost any sign because the moon doesn't have enemy. There's some positive side. The dark side of moon in Capricorn, it shows very much emotional struggles, adversities, delays, and obstacles. And moon in Capricorn can cause emotional trauma in people's life, and therefore can develop trauma condition like post-traumatic stress disorder. And this can influence, when you have post-traumatic stress disorder, it means you have to carry sadness with you throughout the life. And so certain people with moon in Capricorn, they might carry some sadness with them because of trauma. And when moon is in Aquarius, it supports an individual who is dedicated to the evolution of consciousness and awareness. These natives have powerful intuition and innovation, which supports an affinity towards technologically advanced, empathic, and outside of the box interest in work. While these natives are usually considered strange, people with moon in Aquarius are weird by, some people call them weird by the general standard. And I have Rahu in Aquarius, so I've been called this. But because of their unique emotional, mental nature, it actually supports a very powerful, innovative, and advanced creation. So they might be weird, but that's just because they're ahead of their time. They're able to see the future. And a challenge of this alignment comes from being out of touch with society and cultural norms. Individuals with moon in Aquarius can be a little out of touch with the general society. They can be idealistic, unrealistic in their thinking, and they can have a quirky or strange emotional nature. They can have little quirks and tics and things like that. Moon has inauspicious, very challenging dignity in the Mars-ruled sign of Aries. Again, Mars and Moon are some of the most difficult relationships, just like Saturn Moon. This mixed but sometimes unfavorable karma we talked about is because the Moon has a difficult relationship with Mars. Moon, which is the royal queen, and the general of the army, Mars, have a challenging relationship. Mars takes orders from the king. Okay, Mars only takes orders from the king. Mars only wants to take orders from the king. And so Mars doesn't appreciate the moon's emotional nature and heart-centered nature. A general is not emotional or heart-centered. So it doesn't much care for that. And it doesn't care to take authority from anyone other than king. And also the moon, even though it doesn't have any one enemy, I don't think the moon likes that the aggressive nature of Mars, the violent nature of Mars, and the confrontational energy of Mars. Those do not go well with moon. And so when moon aligns to Aries, on the positive side, it supports great devotion towards success, achievement, and fulfilling one's ambitions. It can create an energetic personality, someone who has a lot of energy, that is constantly doing, completing tasks, setting goals, reaching goals, and advancing to their next level of growth. The challenging side of this, again, emotional volatility, maybe emotionally aggressive, and someone who is vulnerable toward outbursts of aggressive or violent energy. Also, the moon can become combust. The moon is combust when the moon or sun within 10 degrees of each other. I basically think that the moon outside of that 10 degrees of closeness is auspicious. And even when the moon is combust, there are still some auspicious aspects to that. But when the moon is combust, it can cause the native to be very quick towards emotional, mental aggravation. This we call someone who is has a temper problem. In other words, the pitta dosha within the mind of the native go out of balance easily and without too much influence. So a combust moon creates a mental vulnerability towards anger, towards irritation, and towards annoyance. It can suggest a native that is prone towards being emotionally overwhelmed and having emotional explosions. And moon combustion can make overall emotional composure more difficult. Even when the person is not exploding, they are quick to explode. And a moon combustion is partially remedied by a friendly planetary relationship between sun and moon. Because sun and moon get together along, a moon combustion isn't the worst combustion in the world. Even though a combust moon creates excessive pitta in the mind, it can create an extremely powerful and influential leader with great charisma and inspiration. So people with sun-moon conjunction can be very powerful and inspiring leaders, but just have this emotional vulnerability. So we discussed what moon karma is and how moon karma affects us. And then we went in detail about how to understand, depending on what sign the moon is in, some of the unique way that karma manifests, or the unique way that karma function. Now we're going to do remedy, because yes, it's amazing to know what the karma is. It's amazing to know how that karma affects us. But what's the point if we can't do anything to make it better? So that is why the ancient Rishi developed all of these divine ways to connect with moon, to connect with Chandra, to connect with Soma. And so I encourage anyone who's watching the video on Monday, and if you're in moon dasha every day, or if you're ruled by moon every day, to try to incorporate these practices into your life. Moon is honored on Monday, and so Monday is the most beneficial day to honor moon. We honor moon by wearing the color white, so I've chosen to wear white today. We honor moon through traditional moon mantra, which we performed at the beginning of our webinar today. That's the one that went, Dadi Sankha Tusharabam Kashiro Dharna Sambhavam. Namami Sashinam Samam Sambormakuta Bhushanam. So I highly recommend that, I highly recommend that people practice the moon mantra in the moonlight on Monday night. Highly favorable. And we also honor moon through prayer in front of a well-designed moon yantra in the northwest direction. We honor moon by wearing the gemstone pearl and moonstone on the pinky finger. Have a Indian sea pearl right here, and this would be worn on the pinky finger. This will be very beneficial in honor of the moon. Generally, the pearl is set in a silver setting. Different interpretations of gem wearing. Right hand for male, left hand for female, but I don't believe in those type of gender-only distinctions. And so I think of it more as we wear on our dominant side of our body to increase the overall energy of our planet, or we wear on the non-dominant side of our body just to decrease the malefic effect of the planet. So if someone has a challenged moon or debilitated moon, and they want to encourage that moon's growth, wear on non-dominant side. If you have a strong moon and you want more of those qualities stronger, you can wear on the dominant side. Also, if you're Cancer Lagna, you wear on dominant side. For you with the moon in Cancer, you can definitely wear on your dominant side, Madhuriji.
Yes, definitely.
We honor Chandraji through honoring Shri Varuna. Varuna, which is the Deva of the ocean. So whenever we have an opportunity to honor Varuna, there's Varuna Puja, there's Varuna mantras, there's Varuna rituals. I encourage you to perform these practices in honor of the moon, because Varuna rules the oceans and the moon influences the tides of the ocean. So Varuna and the moon are always working together. We also honor Chandra through honoring Krishna, because this is the very specific incarnation of Vishnu, which is associated with the moon. And so we perform the Maha mantra. The Maha mantra is one of the best mantras for the moon. And that's Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And this is very favorable in honor of the moon. We also honor Chandra through honoring Uma/Parvati. This is Shiva's consort, Shiva's wife. So we honor the moon by honoring the feminine aspect of the divine, all feminine aspects of the divine. But according to the ancient text, it's specifically Uma/Parvati in the incarnations. So Parvati performs the, Shiva and Parvati perform the Lasya and the Tandava, the divine dance. And so it is very significant in honor of the moon that we do traditional Indian forms of dance. I wrote down Odissi because it's a very traditional form. It's a very traditional form. But I highly recommend that in honor of the moon, you try to perform dancing, traditional dancing. Also, we honor the moon through offering white rose, white lotus, and other white herbs and white colored clothing, especially to give these things to our mother, if our mother is passed, to leave these things on her grave, and also to give white colored clothes to women, especially needy women, possibly poverty-stricken women. But we honor by the moon by offering anything white to a woman. White roses to your mother. It doesn't get better than that. Now we focus on Ayurvedic remedy to improve moon karma. Now, moon is a dual doshic planet. That means dependent on the position of the moon, it is either more vata or either more kapha. So the moon varies greatly in terms of vata or kapha, depending on dignity, position, and fullness. Moon in air signs tends to more vata type vitiations and difficulties, while moon in earth sign tends towards kapha type difficulties. So also when a new moon, it is more vata, and a full moon is more kapha. So this is how you decide, okay, is this person's moon more vata or kapha? You look air sign, earth sign, or whether it's a new moon or full moon. Now, moon karma, dependent on dignity, can cause intense desires, indulgences, and lust. Going back into the mythology, the moon acted on lust without thinking. So it is true that moon rules devotion, but we mentioned not always is our devotion inclined in the right direction. Sometimes we are devoted to our lower desires and indulgences, and it can cause certain health difficulties. In other words, some of the lustful, over-desirous nature of the moon actually indicates health problems. So if someone has the moon in the 6th house, moon in the 8th house, they might have to worry about some of these health difficulties. And that's overweight, addiction, and sexually transmitted disease. These are just a few of them. Now, inherent remedies for these, lustful, indulgent vulnerability of the moon. The number one remedy for these, you can do herbs, you can do diet, but there is no greater remedy than the ability to reflect before an action is taken. All of our health problems with the moon can be removed. All of our challenges with the impulsivity of the moon can be removed, as long as we heavily reflect and think before any action is taken to understand that the consequence of that action is positive. The evolved moon karma, before all actions are taken, heavily reflects and therefore avoids devotion towards anything negative. With a more vata type moon, we encourage a more wholesome lifestyle. Groundedness, stable, and supportive in the life is going to be very important. This means you have to have a very wholesome and stable diet, wholesome and stable relationship with your family, wholesome, dependable, and loyal partner. When the moon is in a vata influence, you're going to really need to ground it. Now, when they're more kapha type moon, this has more to do with moderation, the reflection before action, and exercise, because a kapha type moon can be lazy and can eat very much. So we want to encourage this more exercise, reflection before action. Do I really need to have the 4th slice of pizza? Probably not. And so also travel, also meditation, All of these things are balancing for a more kapha type moon. Now, some contemporary lifestyle practices in order to improve our planetary karma with the moon. These are things that we can do every day. These are things we should definitely do on Mondays. These are things that we should think of when we want to improve our karma with the moon. This is what we can try to do on a daily. This will greatly aid and improve our karma with the moon to honor the Divine Mother in all of its forms, all of the various forms of the Divine Mother. This includes all female devas and all female gurus. The list goes on. Kali, Saraswati, Durga, Lakshmi. Whatever aspect of the divine feminine resonates with you, by honoring that, you're also honoring the moon. And also female gurus, female teachers, people in your life that are women that you have deep respect for and appreciation for. We honor them. And it greatly aids and improves our planetary karma with Chandra to honor our physical mother. Now, some people have good relationships with their mother, and some people have bad relationships with your mother. And when your mother is a bad person, it's hard to honor her. But nonetheless, your karma with moon is greatly aided when you at least try to honor the woman who raised you, no matter what type of person she is. Often there are challenges in the evolution of our karmic relationship with our mother, just because there's so much karma between us and our mothers. But by being a human being and having a mother, there's almost no stronger karmic connection. We actually physically come out of our mother's body. So there is this such intense karmic connection with the mother. And so there can be challenges with that just because of the intensity of it alone. But our karma with the moon is greatly improved when we show support, care, and love to our mother. Again, the moon is the representative of unconditional divine love. So it doesn't really matter what type of person your mother is, because the karma with the moon is unconditional love. So it doesn't matter what conditions make that challenging. Now, it does matter, but I'm saying ultimately, no matter, the greater the challenge, the greater the possibility to practice unconditional love. The harder the condition, the more of the opportunity for unconditional love. So along those lines, when we practice unconditional love to our mother, even when that's difficult, that is the greatest way to improve our karma with the moon. And it will greatly aid and improve our karma with moon to express patriotism and love for our homeland. Okay? This is one of the greatest ways to improve your karma with the moon, is to love the country that you were born in. And we also greatly aid and improve our karma with our moon to express love for the current city that we're living in. So it always improves our karma with moon when we express love to where we're from and when we express love to where we are. Moon karma is an embodiment, is a representation of our relationship to our homeland and where we currently live. And so our karma is greatly improved when we focus our devotion, love, and support to our native country and current city. That means if you're living somewhere across the globe and you want to improve your karma with the moon, go visit your city's sport team. If you're from India but you're living in New York, go to the Yankees game. If you're from China but you're living in London, go to the football game, the soccer game. So there's this vibration that to embrace the country, you embrace the cultures of that country. To embrace your homeland, you embrace the cultures of that homeland. And so the greatest moon karma are people who, yes, are extremely patriotic to their homeland, but are also able to appreciate the different culture no matter where they go. Moon karma is the ability to reflect and embody light. We greatly aid and improve our karma with moon through various acts of reflection and light work. One of the greatest forms of reflective work that we can do to improve our karma with the moon is meditation. meditation is the ultimate reflection and illumination. And therefore, having a meditation practice in honor of the moon is highly auspicious. Most of the ancient astrological texts say that's the number one thing that we do in honor of the moon. It is most auspicious in honor of the moon to do meditation in the moonlight. So go out in your backyard, put a blanket in the backyard, and let that moonlight just shine on you. Let that soma drip on you while you perform the meditation. The ability to reflect before any actions are taken to ensure that only positive energy is created is one of the strongest evolutionary aspects of the moon. The moon's strongest lesson is that one of its strongest lessons is that instead of acting impulsively on what our desires are, let us transcend that and actually reflect to see what the best is. And so this is a strong vibration. So it greatly aids and improves our karma with moon to think and reflect heavily before any actions are taken. So to avoid any impulsive actions, to avoid any short-sighted actions. And the simplest way of doing this just means to pause before you do anything. Just pause for 1 second, 5 seconds, 10 seconds. If it's a serious action that you're about to take, pause for a little longer. But it just means wait, pause. I know you want to do this right now, but just wait and pause. Allow some time to happen, because that's when the reflection starts to happen. In other words, if you have the desire to do something and you wait, you put a pause, you put a break before you do that, you automatically will reflect. The reflection will happen automatically as long as you pause. Yeah. It will also greatly aid and improve our karma with the moon to cultivate our empathic intuition. Empathic intuition is a gift that many people with strong moon karma have. But as we talked with many of the energies, for better or for worse, you feel what other people feel. For better or for worse, you feel what other people feel. And that means that even though you have a gift, it's still a curse. You know, you have a blessing and you have a curse if you have empathic intuition. And to cultivate it, to evolve that relationship, is to remove the curse and just have the blessing. The moon rules the connection between the heart and mind. Therefore, to prioritize and cultivate empathic intuition greatly improves our karma with the moon. This means to practice using your intuition and also to practice turning off your intuition when you don't want to pick up the energies which are around you. In this light, it is beneficial to offer emotional counseling and support to improve our karma with moon. In other words, to activate empathic intuition, you need someone to express to you something that is emotionally difficult or something that they need support on, which means they're not getting support. So they need to express a lack of support. They need to express an emotional challenge they're going through. And this will activate your empathy. This will activate your empathic intuition. Also, since moon is the emblem of devotion, we greatly honor and improve our karma with moon by devotion towards spirituality and creativity. Whenever we prioritize our enthusiasm for spiritual and creative energies, we improve our karma with moon. Yeah, spiritual's associated with Jupiter. Yeah, creative is associated with Venus. But because it's connected towards devotion, no matter what, if you're putting devotional energy towards it, that activates moon. And so if you put devotion towards spirit, if you put devotion towards creation, it will also activate moon. It will also greatly aid and improve our karma with moon to cultivate emotional maturity. This is one of the most difficult problems for people who have difficult moons, is a lack of emotional maturity. You know, oftentimes it's not their fault because their parents were emotionally immature, and we are just usually passing down our parents' emotional nature unless we are evolved enough to know not to. But we greatly improve our karma with the moon by by developing emotional maturity, composure, and strength. This doesn't mean not to cry. That's not what I'm going to say. It's just talking about developing emotional maturity. This includes the ability to feel what emotions come up. So emotional maturity is not to not feel what you're feeling, is if you're sad to not feel it, if you're angry to not feel it. The first step of emotional maturity is being honest with what you feel. So you feel what you're going to feel. You feel the sadness. That's the example of emotional maturity, is saying, I feel sad. You know, that's emotional maturity right there. And then emotional maturity shows that you can process that emotion that came up without being completely overwhelmed by it for a long period of time. So that means that if you feel sad, you can admit that, and then you can work through that in a way where it doesn't destroy your life. Okay? Certain people, when there's this emotional challenge, everything fails. They stop working. They stop going out. They go into deep, deep depression. And that is very sad, but in a way, it shows a lack of emotional maturity. To have emotional maturity is to experience an emotion and then process that in a healthy way. To be overwhelmed by your emotions means that you cannot process them properly. So to develop this ability to digest emotion, it's going to be very beneficial in honor of the moon. And also, emotional maturity is to have a balanced and composed emotional nature. Okay? This means that not like always fluctuating, manic depressive, bipolar disorder. It shows that someone is really happy, really happy, really happy, and then really sad, and I want to die. So it is these extremes that are not emotionally mature. It's not emotional composure. Emotional maturity and emotional composure is balanced. Yeah, when I'm happy, I'm happy. And when I'm sad, but I'm not so extreme, constantly going from one to the other. In other words, more of a steady emotional stream. Doesn't mean there's not going to be sad moments. It doesn't mean there's not going to be happy ones. But it just means that instead of it going like this, it's like this. And that's how one of the ways to improve karma with moon, I think. So that is how to improve our planetary karma with moon. And now we're going to look at some community examples sent in from our friends at Saptarishi Astrology. Let's pull these people live into the webinar.
Sure. Okay. I can see one Poonam, but what you have written is Poonam Dhiman, and I can see Poonam Bansal. Are you the same Poonam?
Yeah,
Can you just type?
yeah.
Okay, okay.
I think it is. It is.
Yes. Okay. So I'll promote her to panelist. Okay. Okay. Hi, Poonam. Hello, Poonam. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
Namaste, Poonam ji. Welcome to the...
Namaste, 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 sir.
How are you doing today? How are you enjoying our webinar?
I really enjoyed it, and I got insight to how to improve my karma, because I'm not close to my mom.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to work on it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And moon with Saturn can create that, because Saturn represents separation and moon represents the mother.
Yeah.
So also Saturn moon can create some separation, physical separation at times. Now, looking at your question here, you said my moon is with Saturn and Aries in third house position. I have low self-esteem
Yes.
and no confidence. Is there any solution? I kind of a people pleaser and I'm not able to express my feelings or emotions openly. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so this is your chart. You're in a Rahu Aquarius Lagna like me.
Yes.
Nice to meet you then, sister. We have so much in common.
Good to have a brother, intelligent brother like you.
Oh, thank you so much. Now, taking a look at your question, first let's analyze your moon karma. We notice here that there's a Saturn-Moon conjunction in the 3rd house, and Saturn is retrograde in the sign of Aries. Moon is uncomfortable in Aries, and when it's combined with debilitation of Saturn but retrograde, the retrograde condition of a debilitated Saturn means that at times your Saturn will act exalted, just like in math, how 2 negatives will equal a positive. Well, in many ways, the retrograde of your debilitation, it is a cancellation of the debilitation. And what this does is it gives Saturn more strength. It makes Saturn more powerful. And this Moon and Saturn conjunction can cause certain emotional difficulties and can cause certain sadness in the mood. It can cause sadness in the mood at times. Due to this conjunction, because it's in your 3rd house of motivation and confidence, that will cause difficulties with self-esteem and confidence. Additionally, this 3rd house is of communication. And so it suggests some challenge in your communication and expression as well. Now that we have discussed what the difficulty is, let us focus on the solution. So the 3rd house is an Upachaya house, which represents self-improvement or self-evolution energies, which is beneficial for that. This house can show us where the greatest room for improvement and growth can be in our life, where the greatest amount of where in our life we have a great room for improvement. And if we improve in this way, where we can become much better person. And since Moon rules the mind in conjunction with the retrograde Saturn, it means that your mind can move slowly at times, and that speech can also be slow at times. So the remedy, does that happen?
Yeah, most of the time.
Yeah.
I'm short of words. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So the remedy emphasizes communication of one's true feelings and emotions, particularly the difficult ones. And that's because Saturn is associated with sadness or grief. And so it's possible that because you haven't processed certain amounts of sadness and grief, that's preventing motivation, that's preventing comfortable speech. So the remedy is to always express what you're truly feeling, especially what is difficult, especially what is sadness, especially what is grief, as a means to move through this energy. You're not talking about something negative in order to complain. You're talking about something negative so that you can recognize it and then move on. If you practice sharing your emotions, regardless if they are good or bad, positive or negative, this means you don't care how someone will receive what you're saying, that you express it no matter what, without thinking how someone will listen to it. This is going to increase your confidence. This is going to increase your motivation, and it's going to increase your self-esteem. With Saturn and Moon in the 3rd house, you have a lot of wisdom and devotion, which needs to be expressed. And so by evolving yourself to express yourself and by evolving to express yourself, even when there is a block, even when it is difficult to speak, even when you are afraid what other people will think of what you say, when you can continue to express yourself without consideration or worry about what other people will say or think, it will build your confidence, and ultimately it will help you achieve your dreams. It will help you achieve your dreams, because the 3rd house is a Kama house, which eventually helps us fulfill what our dreams are. And so Saturn Moon in the 3rd house can suggest, though, that other people in your life or in your class structure will oppress you, or will oppress your expression and will oppress your voice. So that's part of the reason why you might have blocked expression too, is because other people will try to block your expression. So therefore, the key remedy here is to be constantly expressing your emotions, regardless of the content or nature of the emotions, and just trying to be as strong as possible to not giving any care what other people will think.
Got it. Got it.
Is that helpful? Does that resonate with you?
Yeah, I got it. Because I'm afraid of this thing only. Ki what will people say? Or how will they react?
Yeah, and that's a block. And as soon as you get over that, everything will come together. Your communication and your confidence.
Okay, thanks very much.
Happy to support Poonamji. Om Namah Shivaya.
Thank you. Om Namah Shivaya.
Thank you, Poonamji.
Thanks for the webinar.
Okay. So next we will have George. Hey brother, come on up.
Okay. Yes. Okay, I've promoted him to panelist. Yes. Hi, George.
Namaste, Madhura ji.
Namaste.
Kṣaṇāti ji.
Oh, namaste, George. Such a pleasure to have you. How are you enjoying the webinar today? How are you feeling about the conclusion of the series, but the upcoming Nakshatra series I mentioned?
Well, today's webinar, it is absolutely awesome, as usual, actually. and I'm looking forward for the next 27 episodes.
Me too. Me too, man. I hope you'll be there. I hope you'll be there for everyone.
I hope so. I hope so too. Yeah.
I really like your question today. It's not 100% moon karma question. It's like 50% moon karma question and then some other karmas which are showing up, but I let it slide.
Okay, thank you.
Because I really like the question and it brings in the eclipse which is coming up. So I thought that was really nice. So your question was, I am currently running Moon Maha Rahu Antardasha, and Rahu is in Cancer right now in the transit. And on July 27, there will be partial lunar eclipse in Capricorn with Mars and Ketu, and what happens on your ascendant, transiting your ascendant. Moreover, Mars, which is the Lord of your fourth, from the Lagna, and the first from the Chandra Lagna will be conjunct with Ketu all on your Lagna. So that's why the Ketu Mars karma is a big part of this question too. But it's a great question because right now Ketu and Mars are at exact same degree. So we're all going through a great transformation. And so taking into account all of these, what is the effect the lunar eclipse will have on your life? Again, George is Capricorn Lagna, currently running his Moon Rahu Dasha, Moon in 11th house conjunction Sun, and Rahu is in 2nd house in Aquarius. First, we'll just go over the condition of your native moon. Again, we find Chandra and Scorpio positioned in 11th house with Surya. Surya does better in Scorpio than Chandra. And moon is combust only 6 degrees of separation from sun. You are currently running Moon Rahu Dasha, which is significant as Rahu in Cancer, transiting your 7th house currently. The eclipse in Capricorn, culminating on July 27th, is particularly significant because it transits over your lagna. Now, during this time, the balance of your Ayurvedic doshas, the elements within your body, are going through great fluctuation and change. And because this Mars K2 transit has already happened, you're already starting to feel some of these effects. Since this is happening over your lagna and Mars and K2 are both Pitta planet, I said this is going to be an especially hot summer for you.
Yeah, that's right.
There's a strong health vulnerability during this eclipse for you. And while this Mars K2 transit is over your lagna, for Pitta type difficulties, both emotional and physical. And when I was reading this, because you're one of the nicest guys I know, I couldn't really think of you having strong Pitta emotion. But this transit is saying some vulnerability to that. And so since your natal moon is in Scorpio, on some level, you might already be predisposed to certain Pitta type fluctuations. And that includes the mental aspect, frustration, irritation, aggravation. And when it's transiting over lagna, it might just further emphasize those vulnerabilities. And so the lagna, though, is a dharma house. So on a more spiritual level, this activation of this transit over your lagna, especially during the eclipse, symbolizes some great transformation in your life, George. Potentially the shedding of what no longer serves you to create space for more opportunities for what truly does serve you. Because that's what this Mars K2 is happening for all of us right now. We're letting go of what doesn't serve us so that we can be closer connected towards what we really want and what does serve us. But because this is transiting over your lagna, it might be this might have to do with your physical body. It might have to do with certain aspects of your personality that you're wanting to let go and move past of. But also certain aspects of your physical body. You might want to become in better shape during this time. You might want to become in better physical shape over this time. This transit eclipse, I think it will be good for you, though, as long as you avoid excess pitta. So avoid excess exposure to heat, avoid excess exposure to sun, avoid pitta aggravating foods like very spicy, peppery stuff. And because the moon rules the manas, and due to your moon-sun conjunction in your chart, there is a vulnerability to some mental or emotional overwhelming at this time. And so, you know, it just suggests to try to keep the mind as calm, still, and quiet as possible, which I know with your Buddhist practices is going to be very easy for you. But if you weren't as mindful and aware as I know you are, you might be vulnerable to violent outbursts. Just as a joke, if you weren't spiritual at all, you might want to get into a fight during this time.
Okay, thank you so much. I'll do so. Yeah, indeed, it's a really difficult time already for me now, but I'm gonna handle it. It will be okay. And just let Mars and K2 to burn away the debris, the karmic debris.
Yeah, exactly. Let it burn away what doesn't serve us. But K2 is moksha karaka. And so even though that debris is burning away, we might have a little certain attachment to that debris. And that's what makes it so painful. You let the karmic debris burn away, but sometimes you are afraid to see those things go because you've developed a certain attachment to them. So it's also a great time in your life for your attachments to disappear from your life, which is very good for the path you're on, but that can be difficult too.
I see. Okay, thank you so much again. Thank you.
Thank you, George.
Thank you. Namaste.
Om Namah Shivaya. Namaste.
Om Namah Shivaya. Namaste.
Okay, great. Let's bring someone else in here. Sunita Kamalji.
Okay. I think we don't have her. I can't see.
No, she was here in the...
She is, I think, okay. Okay, I'll promote her to panelist.
Okay, good.
Okay, hello. Are you Sunita ji?
Looks like her mic is still muted. Let me unmute that. Nope. She might have to unmute. Oh, there it goes. Namaste,
Hello.
Sunita.
Hello.
Hello.
Oh, sorry. I think she said she's Savita, so I think I picked it wrong.
Okay, no problem.
Okay. I don't think Sunita ji is there.
Okay, well, since I worked on her question and it was a good one, let's answer it anyway.
Yes.
She mentioned a unique yoga. So since Moon is making 6-8 axis aspect with first house Jupiter and Leo, what are long-term impact and Ayurvedic remedies, if any? So taking a look at her chart, you can see this 6-8 aspect here, Jupiter and Moon distant from each other and having co-mutual aspect with each other. She's Leo Lagna with Jupiter and Moon in Aquarius, 7th house. Now, as mentioned, there is a Jupiter-Moon co-mutual. It's called Kṣaṇāti 6-8 aspect. When focusing in on your Moon karma, find Moon in Aquarius sign with complete aspect of Jupiter in Leo sign, co-mutual aspect. This 6-8 aspect can suggest certain challenges as it relates to the quality, longevity of married life, especially with 1st and 7th house positions. So the challenge of this karma can suggest potentially some challenges for the longevity of the marriage life. However, Moon and Jupiter aspect can be very beneficial for growth, and Jupiter in Lagna reduces many challenging effects of this aspect. It will show that the emotional maturity manifests in alignment with spiritual education and wisdom, and that your spiritual evolution will give you great emotional peace, and that without spiritual evolution focused or prioritized, then your emotions can be very disturbed. So you have to live a spiritual life in order to have emotional peace. Remedies for this Moon karma include compatibility aspect, in which it is essential for you that your partner has a devotional nature and is also focused on spiritual wisdom and evolution. You need a spiritually focused devotional partner. And the contentedness of the relationship and marriage is based off of constant growth and evolution and constant devotion to the family picture. Remedy from Jupiter Moon co-mutual is to never get complacent with spiritual wisdom or education. As one spiritual wisdom grows, it can be easy to forget to focus on forever learning and so forever growing. But the Jupiter Moon aspect suggests constant growth, and so never to get lazy with one's own spiritual growth is highly indicated here. Along those lines come other remedies of treating the body like a temple, honoring your gurus and teachers, and especially your female gurus and teachers because of the Jupiter Moon. Ultimately, while there is some challenges that come up with this expansive energy, ultimately, to stay devoted towards your spiritual path and family gives great happiness and fulfillment throughout your life. In other words, you're guaranteed happiness if family and spirituality are focused. Wonderful. Now we're going to take a look at Sri Yoganandaji Moon karma. First, we take a look at his Lagna, and there it is, our divine moon. So he has Chandra Lagna, and it is very significant in position of Leo. When looking at Yoganandaji planetary karma with moon, we find moon within Lagna at 3 degrees in the sign of Leo. In many ways, the position of moon in Lagna shows Yogananda's personality, appearance, dharma, and nature. Okay? Moon in Leo shows leadership, which represents homeland or country. In many ways, Yogananda Ji was a true patriot. He took the wisdom from his native country and shared it across the entire world. Yogananda had a profound love for his homeland. And those natives from India had a very strong affinity for Yogananda. He was loved in his homeland. Also, Moon in Lagna in Leo suggests his devotional nature and power. And Leo sign could definitely suggest a spiritual or devotional leader. Very strong leadership of spirit or devotion. And that's what Yogananda Ji was. Moon being a feminine planet suggests certain feminine qualities that might have been a part of his appearance, such as his long, flowing, dark hair. As Moon rules 12th house in Yogananda's chart, suggests a devotional energy toward moksha, an appreciation of temples, ashrams, and quiet places of meditation. Moon in Lagna in Leo suggests extreme spiritual charisma and touching the hearts of all who come in contact with him. It is truly beautiful to look at this unique moon karma of Yogananda and how the unconditional love and devotion manifested in his life and dharma. Mm-hmm. And as George just mentioned, the third degree of Moon is a very important fixed star, Regulus, which is the fixed star of kings. So again, showing more of this royal vibration and this leadership, powership vibration. He was a spiritual leader. He was a devotional leader. And it is so beauty to see that the way love of his homeland, love of the wisdom of his homeland, devotion to his people, devotion to his country, devotion to wisdom. It's truly beautiful example to see Yogananda Ji's moon karma.
Brilliant.
So now we'll do some live questioning. Let me pull up the question and answer, and we'll just go right through them all. There we go. If there are any more questions, just throw them in now. First question. What should we do if exalted moon sitting with Rahu, aspected by Venus, Mars, and Ketu from 12th house? Okay. First, we'll take a look at the answer in association of moon, exalted moon with Rahu, because Rahu is also exalted in Taurus. So your moon is exalted, and then Rahu is also exalted. So there's a double exaltation going on there. This will give you this great intuitive potential. It gives you this great emotional potential and empathetic potential. But Rahu will certainly bring in some of the more difficult qualities of that. That means that you're going to have to pick up on other people's sadness. You're going to pick up on other people's challenging emotions. You're going to pick up on other people's challenging feelings. And so there is this strong vibration when moon is with Rahu, that there is this signification of the temptation of the desires, the temptation of the physical bodies, because Rahu can represent this craving. So also, pratyahara, sensory withdrawal, and not overindulging in your senses is very good. Poonam, we answered your question. Cancer moon, what if Cancer moon in 9th house, but with Ketu? Cancer moon in 9th house makes someone very devoted to their family. And actually, usually with Cancer in the 9th house, it will emphasize a certain amount of spiritual evolution through devotion to your family. So your family helps you spiritually grow. When it's with Ketu, then the moksha karaka is being brought into that. And also your spiritual evolution has to do with losing certain members of your family, maybe being distant from certain members of your family. And so this is a very strong vibration of moon in Cancer in the 9th house. It also makes someone who can be very devoted to their religion. But with K2, it will create some alternative or unique approach to that religion. Dinesh G, I saw you just threw a question here, and we're not running charts for this question and answer. And so if you just want to tell us one of your questions, tell me this condition of your moon and one of the questions of your moon, and we can answer it that way. But we're not running charts right now. What if moon karma, if moon is in Abhijit in 9th house? That's really powerful conjunction. What I will say about moon in 9th house position in this nakshatra, it makes it very good for spiritual and mystical association. Usually this association favors more the mystical than necessarily the dogmatic religious. They will have unique interpretations of different philosophies, unique interpretations of different religions, unique interpretations of different spiritualities. It also shows a strong inclination that the moon, which is in the 9th house, is the house of the guru. So highly encouraged for you, female guru and worship of the Divine Mother. Okay. What if moon is functional, benefic, and joined together with Saturn in own sign? Okay. Joining together Vrishika Lagna moon and Saturn together in 3rd house. You know, this has to do with kind of the Saturn moon questions, which we answered earlier. And we talked about the Saturn moon energy earlier. On one positive side of it, especially with the benefic here, it's someone who is going to maintain tradition. It's someone who is going to appreciate their ancestors. It's someone who is going to honor the history and past of their country, of their family's religion. So that is a very positive aspect of that conjunction. And you didn't ask about the challenges. So we'll just say that. Okay. Dinesh Ji, I'll hope that you'll write another question that is more specific. Anonymous attendee, does moon in K2 give depression? Yes, moon in K2 is a form of depression. K2 represents constant transformation, and moon has to do with the fluctuations of the mind. So there is a very constant transformation of the moon in K2. It can lead to depression. It can have to do with anxiety disorder. It can also have influence of some vulnerability to things like obsessive compulsive disorder. It can also have to do with other personality difficulties. Moon in K2 gives a lot of stress to the moon. There's even a sutra in the ancient text. It says in which K2 actually rips the moon in half, rips the sun in half. And so dividing the sun and the moon. And so along those vibrations, the moon, which is the mind, K2 can divide that mind. Now the remedy for moon in K2, meditation, mindfulness, pranayama. Because otherwise, if you don't get control of the mind will have this uncontrollable, unpredictable element. You will have to use pranayama, meditation, chanting, and spiritual practices to cultivate and control that mind. Sevalji, so nice to have you joining us today. Hope you're wonderful. When moon is with Saturn, Rahu, Mars, and Venus in the 8th house, what would be the best strategy for the moon karma at this time? All of that energy in the 8th house is really prominent, is really strong for your mystical evolution, for your spiritual evolution. Mars is there, Venus is there. When Mars is there, strong indication for yoga. And Rahu there, strong indication for astrology and Ayurveda. Same with Mars. Venus there, energy work, psychic healing. The 8th house when the moon is there, it brings our devotion to the 8th house, which means it will bring your devotion to the occult. It will bring your devotion to the esoteric. It will bring your devotion towards yoga, Ayurveda, astrology, chanting, and more spiritual practices and more spiritual lifestyle. And because Venus is there, there's a social element of it as well, possibly a romantic element of it as well, which will also support that. The best strategy for this type of moon karma is to continue to stay devoted to these more mystical, occult, esoteric aspects, to continue to put your time and energy towards those things like yoga, astrology, Ayurveda, which I have no faith that I have full faith that you're already doing. Moon in Capricorn with Mars, Venus. Oh, okay, same question. Great question. The fact that it's in Capricorn, what you mentioned now, might suggest certain adversities associated with that moon karma. It can have to do with the, family, possibly some earlier in the childhood, certain adversities or challenges that you overcome, and it actually teaches you more about the heart. It actually teaches you more unconditional love. So again, certain conditions, certain losses, certain challenges may be associated with the family that also help teach you unconditional love. Okay, thank you everyone for those questions. I'm just going to take a look at the chat, see if anyone put any questions in there. There we go. Okay, Mitsuji, Moon in Magha Nakshatra conjunct with Ketu. Moon in Magha Nakshatra conjunct with Ketu, and Magha Nakshatra ruled by Ketu. So Moon double Ketu and Capricorn Lagna. Moon double Ketu definitely indicates a strong amount of spiritual evolution through the struggle between ego and egolessness. And that's what Magha Nakshatra does, because it kind of represents this profound spiritual power and rising to power. For example, this is Donald Trump's ascendant. He has Mars in this. So it shows this strong prominence towards great success, great prominence. But at the same time, Ketu is Moksha Karaka. And so as the power, as the success grows, so in turn does the ego grow. And so it's this eventual evolution in which the taller the tree, the bigger the fall. So there is this strong energy in which as you grow more successful in your life, very important that you keep your ego in control. Otherwise, it could lead to destruction at a later point. Okay. Are there any other questions that anyone has before we conclude today? No? Okay, wonderful. Well, I'm just going to do a closing mantra real quick to conclude this series and to conclude our webinar, and to wish all beings on this earth great peace. Again, we're going to have a 27 webinar Nakshatra series after this. And so I hope everyone is excited for that.
Yes, very excited.
We'll have a date.
And thank you so much, Kṣaṇāti, for your hard work, and you put actually everything together for this webinar and for your research, because you put the planetary karma, then planet and other planets with the science and remedies, Ayurveda, lifestyle remedies, then community questions and live questions, and one celebrity example. So everything is in the same place, in the same webinar. And I know putting it together is a real effort. So thank you so much. And we are at the end of this series. And today is the planet is Moon, and it cannot get better, because the next series is going to be the nakshatras, which is considered to be the consorts or wives of the moon. So it's going to be really fun. And thank you so much once again for doing this series and for all your effort. Really, so much gratitude from all of our side.
Thank you so much, Madhuraji. I'm so grateful and appreciative for you. I can't explain to you how grateful I am. And this is a very special moment. I think I like what you said, that we transitioned from moon to nakshatras.
Yes.
Seem like very appropriate transition.
Yes, absolutely.
And very exciting. So I'm going to do a quick chant then, just to conclude our session today.
Yes.
I'd like to give a special thanks to the whole team here at Saptarishi Astrology, especially Sunil John. Thank you. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahana Bunaktu Sahaviryam Karvavahai Jasana Vidhamastu Ma Vidvashavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shri Guruvyo Namaha. Hari Om. Om Namah Shivaya.
Om Namah Shivaya.